Pohnpei upon a stone altar is the name of an island of the Senyavin Islands which are part of the larger Caroline Islands group. It belongs to Pohnpei State, one of the 4 states in the Federated States of Micronesia. Palikir, the FSM's capital, is located on Pohnpei Island. Pohnpei Island is the largest, highest, most populous, and most developed single island in the FSM. The islanders of Pohnpei have a reputation as being the most welcoming of outsiders among residents of the island group. Pohnpei also contains a wealth of biodiversity. It is also one of the wettest places on Earth with annual recorded rainfall exceeding 7,600 millimeters each year in certain mountainous locations. It is home to the car tree found only on this island and Kosrae. Geography. The highest point of the island is Mount Nan at 772 or 782 meters. Pohnpei is home to several dozen bird species including 4 endemic species, the Pohnpei lorikeet, the Pohnpei fantail, the Pohnpei flycatcher and a long-billed white-eye. A 5th endemic, the Pohnpei starling, is thought to have recently gone extinct. The only land reptiles are a few species of lizard. Originally, only 3 mammals existed: rats, bats and dogs. Pigs were introduced, some are now feral, as are the deer brought during German times. The lagoons are rich in fish, mollusks, turtles and other marine fauna. Climate Pohnpei belongs to the tropical rainforest climate zone. It is also one of the wettest places on Earth with annual recorded rainfall exceeding 7,600 millimeters each year in certain mountainous locations. History. On Pohnpei, pre-colonial history is divided into 3 eras: Nguyen Kawa or Nguyen Aremas, Nguyen Saudala, and Nguyen Nainwalki. Pohnpeian legend recounts that the Saudala rulers, the first to bring government to Pohnpei, were of foreign origin. The Saudala's centralized form of absolute rule as characterized in Pohnpeian legend is becoming increasingly oppressive over several generations. Arbitrary and onerous demands, as well as a reputation for offending Pohnpeian deities, sowed resentment among Pohnpeians. The Saudala dynasty ended with the invasion of Isa Kalekal, another semi-mythical foreigner, who replaced the Saudala rule with the more decentralized Nainwalki system in existence today. Pohnpeian historic society was highly structured into 5 tribes, various clans and sub-clans. Each tribe headed by 2 principal chiefs. The tribes were organized on a feudal basis. In theory, all land belonged to the chiefs, who received regular tribute and whose rule was absolute. Punishments administered by chiefs included death and banishment. Tribal wars included looting, destruction of houses and canoes and killing of prisoners. Pohnpei's first European visitor was Alvaro de Saavedra on September 14, 1529, shortly before his death, when trying to find the way back to New Spain. He charted it as San Bartolomé copyright and called this one and the surrounding islands as Los Pintados because the natives were frequently tattooed. It was later visited by Pedro Fernández de Quiros, commanding the Spanish ship San Jerónimo on December 23, 1595. His description is brief: he made no attempt to land. Another visitor, for whom good documentation exists, was the Australian John Henry Roe. His bark John Bull did not arrive until September 10, 1825, he did not land either as his vessel was chased off by native canoes. The first lengthy description of the island and its inhabitants is presented by the Russian explorer Fyodor Leitk, whose ship Senyavin gave the island group of Pohnpei, Anton Parkin its name. From 14 to January 19, 1828, his boats attempted to land but could not due to the hostility shown by the islanders, but natives then came aboard his ship, some trading occurred, a short vocabulary was compiled, and a map made. F. H. von Kittlitz, a member of the Leitk expedition, made a further descriptive account, including the offshore ruins of Nan Madol, and the 2 reports together provided the first real knowledge of Pohnpei. It is not clear who the next visitors were. However, when Captain J. H. Eagleston of the bark Peru sighted the island on January 3, 1832, it was already on his charts as Ascension Island. Risenberg writes that it is uncertain who first called it Ascension Island, but the name became established until the Spanish period. By Spanish times, battles with colonial troops had become considerably bloodier. A report of one battle alone in 1890 lists 300 Spanish casualties. In the German period, officials attempted to identify agitators from both tribal sides and then ship them off to Rabaul in German New Guinea for 1 year of penal servitude. Pre-Spanish population estimates are deemed unreliable. From this time onward, whaling and trading vessels came in increasing numbers. Very soon a large colony of beachcombers, escaped convicts, and ship's deserters became established ashore, identified as chiefly bad characters, according to the log of the Swedish frigate Eugenie. The first missionary to arrive was Father Louis da copyright Sierra copyright Maigret, a Roman Catholic priest. He had sailed from Honolulu on the schooner Notre Dame de Paix and began his efforts in December 1837, but he departed on July 29, 1838 for Valparaiso after 7 unsuccessful months. In his company were several Mangarevans and Tahitians, some of whom remained on Pompeii and left descendants. 10 years later, Maigret returned to the Hawaiian Kingdom as Bishop of Honolulu. A group of Protestant missionaries from New England established themselves permanently on Pompeii in 1852. Their letters and journals contain a wealth of information about the island and are preserved at Harvard University. A drastic population decline occurred after 1854 due to a smallpox epidemic after European contact. During the American Civil War, to counteract the United States blockade of their ports, Confederate States Navy ships hunted Yankee merchant shipping. On April 1, 1865, the CSS Shenandoah surprised 4 United States whalers at then Ascension Island, and destroyed them all. The local king, Nanangariki, was delighted to receive much of the spoils from this action. By 1886 the Spaniards claimed the Caroline Islands, which were part of the Manila-based Spanish East Indies, and began to exert political authority. They founded the city Santiago de la Ciencia Cubden in what today is Colonia. The Spanish built several government buildings, a fort, a church and a school. Spanish Capuchin friars were also sent from Manila to Pompeii to preach the Catholic faith. After the 1898 Spanish-Euro-American War, the German Empire purchased the Caroline Island group from Spain in 1899 together with the Marianas, and 4 years later the Marshall Islands for 17 million gold mark. During the German administration, a fundamental change in land ownership was implemented on Pompeii and throughout the Carolines. Beginning in 1907, the feudal system, where all land is held in fief, was gradually replaced with the issuance of individual deeds to land. The chief's economic advantages were thus reduced, and only force of tradition granted a first harvest tribute to chiefs. With land holding, taxes came due, and new owners, in lieu of payment, were obliged to work 15 days per year on public projects, such as wharf construction, road building, etc. One such work for taxes engagement sparked the Soquets Rebellion. It began as an insubordination event during road construction on Pohnpei Island, then escalated into the murder of 9 persons, the subsequent apprehension and trial of 36 Soquets rebels, the execution of 15 insurgents, and banishment for others to Bay Beltap in the German Pohnpei Islands. The German census of 1911 (Euro 12) shows 3,190 Pohnpeians, 585 Central Carolinians and 279 Melanesians. Many of the outer islands were resettled in consequence of destructive typhoons in their home islands. A special census conducted in late 1947 shows a total population of 5,628, of which 4,451 were Pohnpeians, and 1,177 were natives of other Pacific islands. By 1963 the population had grown to nearly 10,000. With the Treaty of Versailles, Japan as mandatory power assumed control of all German colonial possessions north of the equator, having occupied Pompeii along with the rest of the Carolines, the Marshalls, the Marianas and Kiatsja Bay during World War I. In subsequent years and during World War II, the Japanese garrison strength was composed of about 2,000 men of the IJN under Captain Junior Noito and 5,984 IJA men under Lieutenant General Masao Watanabe. However, Pohnpei was bypassed by the U.S. Navy during the island-hopping amphibious campaigns of 1943–1945. The island was shelled on several occasions, including by the battleships USS Massachusetts and USS Iowa, as well as air attacks launched from USS Coupennes. In 1945 all Japanese citizens were forced off the island. Many of their Pohnpeian family members remained. In 1980, a group of 12 artists including Marina Abramovia, John Cage and Laurie Anderson were invited to Pohnpei as part of a project called Word of Mouth, designed to collect the artists' conversations. According to Anderson's recording for this project, as well as the track Word of Mouth from her album The Ugly One with the Jewels, while the artists were there a number of prisoners managed to escape from the jail, after which they broke into the radio station and shot the DJ before going on a rampage through the jungle armed with lawnmower blades. 4 people were murdered overall. Television was also introduced to Pohnpei around this time. The Federated States of Micronesia achieved independence in 1986 after being administered by the United States under UN auspices since 1947 as part of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands. The natives of Pohnpei, especially the older generations, often refer to events in their past as having occurred, for example, in German times, or before the Spaniards, which identifies the historical periods as follows. Demographics. The population of the state in 2010 was approximately 34,000. While the majority of the population consider themselves ethnic Pohnpeians, Pohnpei is more ethnically diverse than any other island in the FSM. This is largely due to more than a century of foreign colonial occupation, bringing in Spanish, German, Japanese, Chamorro, Filipino, American, Australian, other Western Europeans, and it being home to the capital of the national government, which employs hundreds of people from the other 3 FSM states having distinct ethnic and cultural origins. The indigenous makeup also includes the multiple regional ethnicities of the outer islands within Pohnpei State, resulting in a mix of Australasian Pacific Islanders and hence making Pohnpei Island the FSM's melting pot. Languages. The Pohnpeian language and its dialects are the indigenous languages of Pohnpei. The Federated States of Micronesia government also uses English as an official language. Administrative divisions. The municipalities on the island of Pohnpei are, Kitty, southwest. Includes Ant Atoll, Colonia, north, Madeleinem, east, Net, Socase, northwest. Also includes Palikir Atoll and Palikir, the national capital, northeast. Transportation. Pohnpei International Airport is located near Colonia, on a small island named Decatique off the northern coast of the main island. Sport. The FSM is part of the international Olympic movement and sent teams to the last 2 Summer Games in Beijing and Sydney with athletes participating in track and field, swimming and weightlifting. The most notable Pohnpeian athlete is marathoner Elias Rodriguez, who ran for the FSM at the Sydney Olympics. Rodriguez finished last in the marathon but was cheered on by tens of thousands of spectators and watched by millions of television viewers as he entered the Olympic Stadium for a final lap immediately prior to the closing ceremony, which was delayed to allow his finish. Pohnpeian fiction. Pohnpei plays a role in several stories in Cthulhu mythos by H.P. Lovecraft and others. Its role in Out of the Eons, by Lovecraft and Hazel Heald, was inspired by the ruins of Nan Madol, which had already been used as the setting for a lost race story by Abraham Merritt, The Moon Pool, in which the islands are called Nan Matal. Pohnpei is a central location in South Sea Adventure, the second of Willard Price's young adult adventure series books featuring Hal and Roger Hunt. Pohnpei, or Pohnpei as it is spelled, is stated as the home island of Mike on the popular blog Once Upon a Time, authored by B.C. Woods. Notable residents: Deborah Daniel, a Euro-Olympic swimmer, Iris Folcom, a Euro-librarian and former First Lady of Micronesia, Leo Folcom, a Euro-former President of Micronesia, Kirsten Hadley, a Euro-Olympic swimmer, M. Lichter Killing, a Euro-poet, Bailey Alter, a Euro-former President of Micronesia, Icon Elam Samon, a Euro-multiple murderer, Michte Wendelin, a Euro-Olympic sprinter. See also. Notes. References. Further reading, The Island of the Colorblind, Oliver Sacks, Publisher, Pan Macmillan, Paperback, ISBN 0-330-35234-2. Pohnpei, An Island Argosy, Jean Ashby, Publisher, Rainy Day Prairie West. Revised edition, Paperback, ISBN 978-0-931742-14-9, Nest in the Wind, Adventures in Anthropology on a Tropical Island, Martha C. Ward, Publisher, Waverlyn Press Incorporated, Paperback, ISBN 0-88133-405-7, Thomas Morlang, Rebellion in der Saar-1-Quartet C. Der Aufstand auf Pohnpei die Deutschen Kolonialherren 1910-1911, Christoph Links Verlag, Berlin, Germany ISBN 9783861536048. External links, Pohnpei, un estado maritimo insular en el hogar copyright no Pacifico. 1. Pohnpei, uno de los cinco estados que integran la FSM. 2. Pohnpei. 3 apart. Los atolones occidentals de Pohnpei 4 apart.